Perhaps one of the most successful investors of all time, Warren Buffett, also famous for being the CEO of the multinational diversified holding company Berkshire Hathaway. He's a perfect example of successful individuals today's generation can learn a lot from, and we'll be discussing exactly that in today's video. We hope this video will help you to learn the golden rules of Warren Buffett, and we'd appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel. It means a lot for us to have your support. So, here are the 10 rules of success coming from Warren Buffett. Number 10, find your passion. Although the definition of success varies a lot from person to person and to a normal man, success is usually defined as living your life the way you want, but not for Warren Buffett. Where people may be measuring success by either the amount of luxuries or wealth one owns, Buffett defines success by the number of people you want to have love with. If you think you're going to be a lot happier if you got more instead of less, you're probably having the wrong understanding of happiness. You have to find something you like, have a passion, and this is what he calls the ultimate test of success. Wow, now that sounds confusing, doesn't it? Well, let's make it a little easier to understand. One of the many popular sayings by Warren Buffett defines this ultimate test of success in much simpler words. If you get to my age in life and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life is a disaster. So, taking this statement into account, we understand that Buffett thinks way beyond his own benefit, and this mindset of a broader impact of empathy and compassion is what Buffett defines as actual success. Number 9, reinvest profits. Although, for the rich, the real reward is the reward of investment. They never spend their returns on buying wants first, but rather reinvest it. Warren Buffett once told a story of how he and his friend installed a pinball game machine in a barbershop for $25, and all the returns it made were reinvested into its expansion for installation in even more shops. They later sold their combined venture and invested all further returns into the stock market, which made them a quite good return. And yes, those returns were once again reinvested into forming another business. So, as you can already tell, Warren Buffett realized the importance of reinvesting profits at a really early age. What people in today's day don't realize is that reinvesting is crucial for the growth and sustainability of a business, company, or even just yourself, and that eating away profits simply won't work in the longer run, because one day or another, the profits you once made through a perhaps unpredictability spiking investment will start depleting. Number 8, never borrow significant amounts. Warren Buffett is amongst the many wealthy individuals strictly against the borrowing for investment gain. It is perhaps the riskiest of gambles, quite popular amongst many individuals getting into the world of assets and investments in today's day and age. And let's just say he has quite a valid point. If you're using a loan or someone else's money to invest, there are hundreds of reasons why you shouldn't. The most prominent of them being the risk of unpredictable markets that can peak and crash in the blink of an eye, and secondly, the risk of your precious mind. Warren Buffett has repeatedly stated that rattling news headlines are the biggest threats for an investor because they trigger an emotional reaction that makes one's mind quite unsettled, and only a wise investor knows that unsettled minds can never make good decisions. So, the chances of such severe happenings is the reason why Warren Buffett strictly looks down upon borrowing debt you can't handle, even if the road to getting it back seems pretty clear. Number 7, always be willing to learn. Although nobody is perfect in anything, there are always people who know or can do better than you can. Always be willing to learn from them. People who are transparent about their journey to success are a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for learning something that can take you places nothing else would. Just like this book, seminar, and tons of other sources can teach you little things that'll go a long, long way when you need them in life. Warren Buffett himself reads newspapers and tons of books on a daily basis because consuming knowledge not only affects his journey to success, but also develops his skills in areas most people lack, which is why he's way ahead in life. Buffett often states that people who avoid learning what's new risk becoming obsolete and seeing Nokia's downfall after the company's neglected innovation is a lesson all of us should probably learn from now. If you want to learn a new profession, which can give you financial time freedom, access the free web training by clicking the link below. Number 6. Live below means. Living beyond means is a point we've discussed a lot on this channel, and yet again, living below means, quite shockingly, comes in the case of Warren Buffett as well. Buffett is well famous for still residing in a really simple home, driving an old modest car, and still picking up McDonald's breakfast every morning. Well, that's quite a stretch of living below means for a multi-billionaire. But living below doesn't mean that you go out and start living on the streets just for the sake of having less expenses. It simply means that you cut out pointless everyday expenses, such as large cups of coffee that you'll drink only halfway, getting a little carried away at the luxury store, or buying items you don't need at all. Living frugally is one of the key recipes for success because when you get more, you think and work smart with it rather than simply increasing your expenses. Number 5. Always aim for the long term. Being in for the long-term gains is quite a famous narrative amongst investors, or, as Warren Buffett tells his Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, our favorite holding period is forever. To put into simple words, Buffett determines whether or not to invest into something by looking at how it'll perform long-term, not how it's performing currently. And this is a strategy that applies to perhaps everything. Buffett invested more than $1 billion on the Coca-Cola stock back in 1988, and fortunately for him, it was quite a beneficial decision, which is why he's holding them even to this day. This root principle from Buffett isn't only limited to stocks, but it applies how smart, where the money overall. So, next time you see your assets taking a downtrend, instead of selling them quickly, think of acquiring more of it, as it's already at a discount and perfect for long-term growth once it starts recovering. Number 4. Account the risk. Although you may see a part of the crowd carry the narrative of investing similar to gambling, but there's quite a barrier that separates both. If you're putting your money into something without having little to no knowledge about it, or solely depending on luck to make it or break it for you, then you definitely land in the gambling bracket. Well, we all know there's nothing riskier than gambling your hard-earned money. A quite famous story of Warren Buffett's son and his employer surfaced in 1995, accusing the son's employer of price fixing by the FBI. When Buffett told his son to think of the risk associated with working for the company, he quickly realized how volatile the position was and quit the next day. The same way, thinking of whether the risk outweighed the potential gains will quickly make us realize that the moves that we're scared to make may be the ones that change our lives. Number 3. Be mindful when following the crowd. You might often see Warren Buffett state, "You need to divorce your mind from the crowd," in a few of his interviews. Well, what does he actually mean by that? First of all, understanding that separating your mind and lifestyle from what everyone's doing is the basic fundamental of success. In a crowd full of people, the successful individuals will always have the tiniest category, simply because they aren't following what the average people around them are saying or doing. And just like this, you need to innovate a strategy and plan towards goals like wealth by yourself. The tiny proportion of successful individuals only exist because they see and catch opportunities and solutions the majority couldn't. They've simply divorced the herd mentality and innovated their own path to success. The best example to give here would be how majority stock investors trigger the herd effect and start selling once they see the market downtrending. but only the few actually recognize the opportunity of buying when the market's down, so they acquire assets. This is why Warren Buffett warns to be seriously mindful when following the crowd, as you can miss out on some once-in-a-lifetime opportunities if you're caught up in the same fear and greed as the crowd. Number 2, feel success for yourself. It's quite obvious, but most people you may notice are just running after a gray area they call success, simply because they've never felt it. Unless you see how successful people live, eat, work, feel, think, and plan out their goals, how on earth can you model their success? Whatever path you may choose, it's pretty obvious that someone else has walked it. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know it existed. For example, when we have the opportunity of being close or sitting in a luxury car for ourselves, most of us will probably remember and whine about how luxurious it felt. But the ones who look at it as something they want to have for themselves are the ones who are in the real hunger for achieving it. If you model a successful individual from your town or city, get closer to them, work for their company so that you get a chance to closely understand how they think, structure, lead, and manage people working for them. Who knows, sooner or later, you may even get a chance to meet them at the office gate and have a chat that turns your whole world around. Number 1, unconditional love. Although it sounds pretty irrelevant when talking about Warren Buffett and the world of wealth and investments, this is actually where Buffett's ultimate test of success lies. He compares unconditional love with the relationship of a father and son by saying, no matter what he did, right or wrong, he can always return to his parents, talk about it, and be loved no matter what. Now, you may be asking, where is this concept actually applies? Well, when we're talking about the fundamentals of a company, it consists of hundreds of individuals, be it the CEO or the internee. Everyone feels emotions because they aren't robots, obviously. The second the leader of the company doesn't give its members the same feeling as the relationship between a parent and their child, is that particular second, all the success is snatched from within the leader's heart. This is why Warren Buffett stresses upon the importance of unconditional love and why it's the stepping stone to all success. We appreciate you for watching our video. This is all we have for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more informational videos just like this one. Let us know in the comments below if you model Warren Buffett or not. If you like the video, do not forget to like it and share it with your friends on social media. And we'll catch you in the next one soon.